Good morning and welcome to CIS 101. I hope you guys are doing well and you are continuing to observe the guidelines from the health professionals. We hope this thing will go away soon and hopefully things can go back to normal. I think the elections are out and we hope things work out well, but life goes on. So this is another session, and basically this is kind of a touching base. I have seen that most of you are still working on the individual end of project assignment. I provided some hints of how to go about working on that assignment, so make sure that you watch that. And like I mentioned before, we're doing this because we could not agree on a convenient time for us to meet. So I'm hoping that at least this is helping you to navigate and see exactly what is expected of you. So the agenda for this session is I will walk you through how to work on the Microsoft Access assignments, and then like usual I'm going to provide a simple directed video of how to go about working on the individual assignments, and hopefully that helps you to work through the projects. Remember, I'm always available through the discussion board, and also I provide my phone number, and I think most of you have been making use of that, and so far I think so good. So let's keep that going on. So we are still continuing with the weekly assignments, and I know we are actually on week 12. So if you click on this folder, it says continue working on week 12, end of chapter assignment. So week 12, let's go back. Week 11 is where we had the information. So this is what we are working on right now, and this is the video that you need to watch to help you with how to go about working on this assignment. So remember that. So weekly assignments, when you go to week 12, which is where we are now, it tells you to continue working on that. If you have finished working on that, then you can dig into week 13, and that's why I opened this folder, made it available for you. So we have a couple of simulations. We have 2 simulations here, and then we have the mid-level exercise, which is this one down here. Like always, I provided some of the directions here, but you can also get them from your book. So you just open your book and go to this page, and you should be able to find the directions. So to start with, I'm going to kind of briefly go through how to work with simulations, because the interface is going to be the same for Microsoft Access, but this is a different type of application. If you remember, we started working with Microsoft PowerPoint, which is a software that you use for making presentations, and then we moved on to Microsoft Excel, which we say is another application that you use for a spreadsheet. So that's for managing your data, doing some analysis. And now we are looking at Microsoft Access, another application software, but this is used for managing the data. So we'll be talking about what's called the database management system. Access is one of those. We have other software out there like Tableau, which is also very popular nowadays. And if you want to devote some time, you can also learn through that. There are very many videos on the internet. But if you have a good grounding of Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Access or another database management system, that's going to give you a competitive advantage. So one of the advantages of Microsoft Access is that most of the concepts that you're going to learn or revisit in this class, you have actually already been using them. So you have always been, if you have a bank account, you always go to the website and you put in your banking information, and you're able to view your data from your bank. So like your banking records, that's part of what you're calling a query. So that query or that information that you get displayed on your computer is an example of what you're calling a query, and that information is generated from a database, okay, which is a collection of data. So the banks have very many tables that they use to organize information about their customers, and that's what you're going to be calling entities. So you'll be looking at what you call the tables, you're going to be looking at what you call queries, you're going to be looking at reports, you're going to be looking at forms. So these are things that you've been working on, so don't be intimidated by looking at Access and saying, oh, this is a new something which is all different. It's actually most of the concept that you've been going through. So to open these assignments, we'll always go to my IT lab, and if you go to my IT lab, this is usually what you're going to be faced with. If you click on my courses, you'll have this, and I hope you're going through that. So you click there, and the dates are a little bit off, and I hope that's not confusing you, because I already explained that sometimes I reopen the assignments earlier, so that if you have time and you want to set the pace, you can do that. So when you click on the 11, that's where we are, you don't see anything. But remember, I said the flags are showing the start date. So on the 9th was the start date for Microsoft Access. Okay, so I allowed you to restart them earlier. They are not due until the 23rd. Okay, so although they are available earlier, they are not due until the 23rd. And if you look at the calendar here, the 23rd is actually way ahead. Okay, because this is what you should be working from, the 16th, the 23rd. But I opened them a little bit earlier, so if you want to pace yourself, you can do that. So the same thing, if you click on the 16th, you'll see something else will become available, which is Access Chapter 2, but that's not due until the 30th. And the same thing, if you click on the 23rd, Chapter 3 becomes available, and then if you click on the 30th, Chapter 4 becomes available. And I only think we're only doing so Chapter 4 becomes available. I need to change this. Yeah, this is supposed to be going together with what's on the 16th. 1, 2, 2. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, and then that 4. But anyway, so on the 9th, that's what we're supposed to be working on, and that is in line with what we have here, 1, 2, and 3. So when you click on the first one here, now mine is showing some progress because I had started working on it earlier. You're going to be faced with an interface that's a little bit different from what we are accustomed to in Microsoft Word, Excel. And let me see, it wouldn't let me go at the beginning because I already finished this. So what I can actually do is, it's going to, the first question I'll ask you to open Access, and you can open this application just the same way you've been opening Excel, PowerPoint, and on like that. But remember, the most important item that I want to show you about here is the interface. So this is how it's going to be organized. We have the tables section here. So this is what you call the tables. In your book, they might be talking about entities, so you might say that. And then we have the queries. So we have the section for the queries here. And then we have the forms, and then we have the reports down here. So those are the 4 main items that you're going to be working with in Microsoft Access. Now the tables are the ones that we use to organize and collect the data. And then the queries is kind of like the feature that allows us to be able to go in the table and gather some of the information that we want that's more specific. So when you log into your bank website and you want to get your balance, basically what you're doing is you provide your name sometimes, or maybe your bank account, and then based on that, the system will give you some information that shows you this is your balance, these are your transactions. That's part of what we are calling the queries. So queries comes from the word question. And then we have the forms. So usually when you're entering information on the website, you provide your banking information, your name, your bank account, and all that. You use a form. So usually we don't enter the data directly into the tables. We use a form to help us in populating the tables, because forms are much easier for us to work with, and they are more user-friendly. And then we have the reports at the end of the month. The bank sometimes sends you information about your credit card and gives you all the transactions. That's an example of what you're calling the report. So that report is generated from very many tables that your credit card company has for all the customers. So we have all that relationship. The same thing if in the medical field. You have your patient's data, and sometimes the patient is admitted, and before you admit, you give them some medicine. You have to go in and you ask for your name, your date of birth, you put that in the system, and then you put that information and you confirm the medication. So you're using tables and forms and queries and all those features together. So by the end of this Access chapter, hopefully you'll have learned how to use those concepts. So when you're designing the tables, you'll be presented what you're calling the data sheet view and the design view. Okay, data sheet view and the design view. These are the 2 main forms of when you're working at the tables, or what you're calling the entities, and you'll be switching between them. So because of the way this software is structured, might not be able to move around because it's going to be giving me the errors. But remember, anytime that you're working in this environment and you have an issue, this is where you need to go. Okay, watch the video. This is very important. If you want to get more emphasis, read the instructions, or you can just do the practice. So this is very hopefully user friendly. If you have a Mac, Sometimes it might have some challenges, but for the most part it should be able to work with both types of platforms. So remember, watch, read, and then practice if you're having some challenges. And if you try something and you know how you're doing it and you can't figure it out, always get in touch with me. I'll hopefully be able to help you navigate out of it, or we can come into a compromise. So that's the part of the simulation, and we're going to have, I think, like I mentioned before, 3 of them for chapter 1, and on like that. So once you're done with the simulation, then you go back to your regular assignments, and if you want to get your book, you can always go to the end here, and on the 18th, if you click on the 18th on this calendar, is where you have the course textbook. So if you click on that link, it's going to take you to the course textbook, and then you can enter the page number. But I already did that piece for you, so now what you're working on is the assignment. So I'll open this assignment here, and when you click on it, it's going to download in your computer, and I'm going to use the PDF file also. So I have both of these files down here, and you can click open. And remember, I said Microsoft Access, you should be able to get it for free through the school. If you don't have it on your computer, consider contacting the IT. They'll help you to do that, because you need the software to finish the account assignments. So if you worked on the simulation, it gave you this option. Once you open the database, it always asks you to enable the content. This is kind of a security warning, okay, to make sure that you're not downloading files that can damage your computer. So once you click on open, this is the file you're going to be working with, and we have the instructions somewhere over here. And like I mentioned, I like to put mine right there, so you can have that. I'm going to close that. And so this is the information about the file. You can read this a little bit to get what's going on, but this is how the file is going to be structured. So you have the ribbon, which is very similar to what you have seen. Okay, you have the commands organized here, form, create, external database, all the way like that. And then you have your table. So you have some tables that have actually been created for you to start with. So you're not starting this from the scratch. There might be some assignments where you're going to be starting from scratch, and you're going to look at how you can do that. So the tables are usually going to be, unless you click any, you see that nothing is active over here. So once you click on any of these tables, then they become active, and some of the commands will also become active. You can see we don't have any reports, we don't have any form, because you have not created any. So just a general view, like if you double click or you right click on this table here or entity and you click open, you'll see the table will open over here, and this table actually has been populated. We have put some data into this table. So right here on this corner here, you have the view, and you probably have already gone through this to the simulation. You have the 2 main views of the table. So you have the datasheet view and the design view. So the datasheet view actually shows us how the table with the data is going to look like. The design view is the one that we use when we are designing the table. So before we even start entering any data in the table, we have to design the table. We have to tell the table what kind of field names do we want. So that's what we're calling the design view. And we have the field names, and then we have the data type. What type of data is the table going to hold? So you have different types of data. We have what you're calling the number, we have short text, large number, dates, all the way like that. So these are the different types of data type that we can have in a database. And then the field name. Anytime that you see a key here, this means it's the primary key. So a primary key is one of the field names that can be used to uniquely identify a record. So usually for most of the citizens, they have a social security number, and then that is usually unique. Nobody else should have that. If you go to every state, they have a driver's license. So every driver's license should be unique. So that's a field name that in a table that's going to be used to uniquely identify what you're calling a record or an entity. So we also have some other information down here. So when you're setting up the field names, you can set these conditions down here. You say the field size should be more than that. So like for instance, if you ever entered a social security number or even a phone number into a form on the internet, usually there is a format that is set, and sometimes it allows only that type of format. So sometimes that is set to minimize errors. So when you're designing the database, you set those options right here. So the person who is designing that database is the one who sets that. So if you say like a phone number should be, what is that, 334, that is 610 numbers, digits, you set that down here. Okay, and anybody who is going to be entering a phone number, they have to make sure that the phone number is no more than 10 characters. And if it does not meet that condition, then usually there is an error prompt or something like that. So you set all that here. That's what goes down here. At this level, you don't have to worry about these features. There is another class that you might be able to take as you progress up, that's called Database Management System, where they actually go into more details about how you can actually design a database and even integrate it on the website. So if somebody goes on the website, they'll be able to enter the information and be able to generate the queries and on like that. But for this, at this level, we just want to give you kind of a bird's eye view of what a database is, so that when you're working in your organization, at least you'll have an idea of what's going on. And if you want to pursue further, then you can do that. So first instructions tells us to open the database. We did that. Then you save it. So you do that. And then open the calls type table. So like I mentioned before, it's two ways that you can open a table. You bring the mouse pointer here, and by now you already know how to do that. Hopefully you double click, and that's going to open the table, or you can right click and just click open. Initially they're going to see the table in what we're calling the datasheet view. So this is the table that you should be working with, and we're told to add this information. So you'll come at the bottom here, and you just click there, you see that insertion point, and then you just continue typing the information that you provided down here, all the way down like that. And then move to see the reps table. So this is the reps table. Double click on it to open it, and then ask you to do something here. Add a new record, filling the value 8. Okay, then sort the reps table by last name. So this is the left first, left last name. So if you're going to be sorting, you just click there, and you have these options here for sorting. And then you're going to be deleting a record. So if you're deleting a record, just bring your mouse pointer here, right click, and then you just click on delete the record like that. Okay, bring the mouse pointer when it changes in that arrow, right click on this pop-up, you do that. And then open the customers table, go back to the customers table like that, and tells you to locate the record. So certain record, what you can do is you can actually click on find. Okay, and then you have this pop-up window, and then which record are you trying to be looking for? Edwin. So just type Edwin there, and you can say the whole field, the merge, or you can say any part of the field. Okay, so this is the field name that you're going to be looking with, and then you say any part of the field, and if you click find next, it should be able to tell you where that record is located. So this is Edwin. Edwin is under what? Under the name of the person. Is it? Let's see. Open that, should view, locate the records for Edwin Curve. Okay, in the right table there, Edwin Curve. So let's do the company name, find next, and should be able to show you that. So at least give me a portion of that. Okay, so you have to make sure that you're in the right field name. Okay, now you can do it manually. It's a very short table, so you might be able to go around and look at it, but sometimes you have a table that has 10,000 entries. So using the find button and navigating around it is actually a good feature for you to learn and understand. Okay, so click the set a field for as that. Okay, so that's still continuing working on there. Open the calls table. We have the calls table right there. So you have to make sure that when you're looking for, you're not looking for the table in the tables. So they call them calls table, calls types table, customers table. So it's the customers table. Okay, so you won't see customers table here, you'll see customers, but you know that you're looking for the customers table, because sometimes that happens. It might look like something very minor, but stuff happens. Okay, so do that, and then open that, and then filter by form. So you're using the hours worked. So if you're going to be doing the filtering, it's different ways that you can do the filtering. So if you're doing the hours worked, you come in here, and then filter, number of filters, and you're saying greater than or equals to, and then you specify the value of here. So if I'm doing 5, I'll click that, and then you click OK, and only shows you the values that are greater or equals to 5. Now remember, here is greater or equals to 10. So I did not exactly do how they asked me to do that. And then sometimes they might ask you to do like filtering, like rep ID, and you can come here and select. Okay, so if everything is selected and you only want to show the rep ID for number 3, you can do that, and you only show the ones that are rep by 3, like that. So those are the different forms of filtering that you can do. Back in the database is just nothing else but file saving. Yes, you save that database and then you close and you're done. So that should hopefully help you to navigate and walk around the first part, and in the next section we'll go into more details about how to go into more database management system. So remember, if you have any issues, keep me in the loop and be safe.